Hello again, guys. It is iFree700. We are back with some Warhammer 40k lore. This time, what the fuck is the Custodes Misericordia? Now, the Misericordia is actually a very fantastic weapon in tabletop, and we're going to go over that. So, what is it exactly? Now, depending on the timeline, like if you're in the Dark Age of Technology versus you're in Warhammer 30k onwards, the Misericordia is actually two different things entirely. Now, you see, back in the Dark Age of Technology, when humanity pretty much fell and techno-barbarians ruled and local warlords ruled over their own barbarians with high technological prowess and stuff like that, they had these blades called Misericordias. They were weapons, power weapons. That's what a Misericordia is. It's a blade, a power blade. But it is so deadly, so awesome, that it can shred through the thickest of armor and deal the most nasty of blows to an opponent. This blade being quite impressive in a very, I would say, fractionalized Earth, a very dystopic setting where everyone's just kind of might makes right. This blade obviously gives you an edge over your lessers, over your subordinates. And that's pretty much what the Misericordia was it was a weapon of oppression, a weapon of tyranny, a weapon of, I have control over you. If you try to fuck me, I will stab you. It's a lot like Mad Max. When anyone has a gun, they're pretty much the leader of a gang. Even though the gun's only got one bullet, they're still pretty much the leader of a gang because of how much power it is. It's like instant death to anybody who opposes them. That's a very great deterrent if you ask Rick from Rick and Morty. What kind of death was that? Instant. That's the way we like to roll, baby. Now, what has the Misericordia become, though, over time? Because as I said, in 30k onwards to 40k, it's totally different. In fact, its meaning has now gained a second meaning after 30k's Horus Heresy debacle. But in 30k, again, it had a different meaning again. So this blade has three different meanings in three different, I would say, ways it was used. So, what is it now that we would know it? It is essentially a dagger or a short sword that a custodian would use as a sidearm. And what it would be for is, of course, things like doing a finishing blow on an opponent or to get an extra attack on your opponent. Like when you get done doing your twirly move with your spear, now you just whip out the dagger with your other hand and just slice his fucking chest open. And in the tabletop, it does do that. It does give your custodian one bonus extra attack. And it's a pretty damn powerful attack, so you have to watch out. Now, the thing with the Misericordia, though, is that it is a symbol. It has transcended the meaning of oppression and tyranny. And now it's just simply the symbol that the Emperor has given to his custodians, saying that they are above the law. They carry out the Emperor's will. They carry out his duty. So if they were to kill somebody with the Misericordia, that is what they are showing, is that they are above the laws. This is the Emperor's direct will. This is his saying, straight from his lips, you will die. Now, after the Emperor has fallen, the blade took a much different meaning. Now, it is still a sidearm that is a sign of the Emperor's, more or less, immunity to the law. But it also holds a much deeper meaning for the Custodes, which would be a sidearm of vengeance. That's right. This blade has now become a vengeance tool. In other words, Custodes don't really need it. A sidearm for a Custode, they don't really need that. They very rarely get disarmed. So really, the blade has become more of a tool of rage, a tool of vengeance for any Custode who wields it. So in other words, if you're downed, you just got your ass beat, all your teeth in your mouth are fucking broken, you're spitting up blood, and a Custode stops, and instead of using his spear, he whips out this tiny little blade or this short sword. It's personal. You can't really say it's just business or it's just him doing his job. No, it's definitely become personal. Because what it is now he is claiming vengeance for the Emperor after his fall, including Custodes today who weren't a part of the Custodes before, who failed their duty. They still take up that task. That is their burden that they have failed as a collective. So, the Misericordia has now become a tool of vengeance, a tool of hatred. When they strike you down with this, it is to show that the Emperor has claimed vengeance over you. You have done such a grievous wound to the Imperium, to the Emperor himself, that they need to bathe your blood with this blade. Now, of course, Custodians aren't that superstitious. They're not that, I would say, tribalistic. They don't believe in these weird things like, oh, if I keep killing these guys with this blade, I'll get stronger. No. They're not that superstitious. But they do have a little bit of a hope that if they bathe enough renegades and enough traitors in the blood of a Misericordia, then eventually the Emperor may ascend back to life. Hopefully. Again, it's a wishful thinking. And the other ones, the ones who are known more as Miserians, they are the ones who use the blade as frequently as they fucking can. They try to use it as much as possible against traitors, specifically the Chaos Marines, because they hope that by doing this, they're enacting a deep vengeance against Horus for his deep betrayal of the Emperor. After all, he's the biggest traitor they've ever seen. He's the one who deserves a torturous death, but instead he got soul blasted by the Emperor. So as a way of continuing vengeance against Horus, they use this blade to strike down Horus's descendants, the Black Legion. And of course, by doing this, they think that every time they kill a Astartes with this blade, that after so many Chaos Marines die with this blade, Horus's lineage would take a ratifying amount of damage, a huge blow to Horus himself, that his legion pretty much just got wiped out by the Misericordia as a sign of vengeance. Now, the Misericordia is not a blade you would typically see that often, but every Custode usually does have one. It's very rare where a Custode doesn't have a Misericordia. The reason why is because it's a pretty damn useful tool. Why wouldn't you bring it? It gives you a bonus attack. It can ignore most armor. It's damn good blade. Why not bring it? The only real issue is, of course, depending on your role in the shield company or the shield host, it could depend why you would even bring it. But again, with Custodes, it's usually highly autonomous, so each individual Custode could decide whether or not he wants to bring it. And of course, for you tabletop players, you probably would bring it regardless, unless you just bring a fucking huge-ass Telemon Dreadnought, which most people do, because the damn thing's impenetrable. Now, what would a Misericordia look like? I described it as a short sword or a dagger, but what specifically would it look like? Well, thankfully the book does describe this. It is noted as a beautifully fashioned knife that is filigreed with gold and theldrites. The hilts are molded to the owner's unique grip, and their blades imbued with micromolecular dissonator spirits that allow them to slice through the thickest of armor. Yeah. Now, by filigreed, it means essentially that there is a gold wire and theldrite wires wrapped around it very delicately. So, in other words, it's not a weapon you use to bash someone's shield. It is a weapon you'd use to end their life. If you were to use this against someone, like I would say maybe a dreadnought, you'd be having a very bad time because most of the decorations on the blade would probably shatter the moment you strike it. But it is, of course, highly technological, so it's able to shred through most armor with little to no difficulty, which is awesome as fuck. And again, as I said, why would you not bring this? This thing is fucking amazing. And of course is also fashioned with a little bit of gold in there for decorative purposes, just again to blend in with the aramite. But for some watches, like the Solar Custodes may not do that. They may instead opt for platinum or just opt for just theldrite instead of just gold. The reason is because the Solar Custodes, they wear white-ish aramite, so it might be better just to have a platinum, get that whitish hue in it, or silver even. So depending on what kind of Custode you're playing, I would definitely change the way their short swords look, because that's probably their Misericordias, or any daggers that you see on their models. You would probably want to change it up a little bit. For example, if they are a Shadow Keeper, you would probably want it to be a black blade with a little bit of black trim on it. Not a black blade, but I mean like a black decoration on it, so give it like a little bit of a black line around it. That would be the filigreed of jet black, whatever it is, like obsidian. But if they're an Aculon shield, in other words, the purple Custodies, you may want to do like a more purplish wire, or you could stick with gold because they still do wear the goldish aramite. But if you're doing, again, as I would say, the solar watch, the solar Custodies, I would definitely go for a more platinum look to it, just because it looks cooler and it matches the armor description. Now you may think, when does a Custode get a Misericordia? Is this issued to every Custode aspirant? No. This is actually issued to a Custode when he has become a Custode. This isn't like the Blades of the Astral Knights, where every initiate gets one. No. This is something that the Custode, when he becomes a Custode, not when he's training to become one, not when he's getting the surgical implantation, no. He gets the Misericordia after he has become a full-fledged Custode. Once he's become a full-fledged Custode and earned one name, boom, he is now a Misericordia owner. Proud ownership. Now, that being said, the Misericordia, we don't see too much of it in the books, and I would love to see it more of the Miserians. I would love to see more of them. Just see like a whole army deployed where they're just straight up using Misericordias, even though they probably would benefit a little bit more if they just use their fucking spears or if they use their guns. But that's been me, Freezer 700. I am out. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys learned something about the Misericordias. Besides that, this has been Freezer 700. I am out. Peace.